Hello and welcome. My name is Evgeny Rusakov and you're watching TVP World, interview from Vilnius. The United States citizens have made their choice. Donald Trump has become the 47th President of the United States of America. To discuss these elections, what future awaits us after them, and many other related topics, we are joined today by the American Studies expert, Alexandra Filippenko. Alexandra, glad to see you back.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Alexandra, first of all, what's your take on these elections in general?
Well, I must say that this is, on the one hand, unexpected election. First of all, because we see the margin of the win of Donald Trump. You see all the people who voted for Donald Trump in much bigger numbers than in 2020 or in 2016. So this is a very rare case when a former president gets more votes than he got the first time around. So this means that America really chose Donald Trump by heart and by mind. And they need and they want this right-leaning political course of Donald Trump. And to me, this election means that the United States are going to the right course, right political course for many, many years to come. Because it's not only the presidential election, it's the Congress election. And apparently 2 judges of the Supreme Court will be leaving in next 2 years. So this will mean that Donald Trump and the conservative Congress would appoint 2 new justices in the Supreme Court of the United States. And this means even if Congress becomes Democrat in 2 years, and even if Donald Trump leaves, of course, he won't become president for the 3rd time, but even if the next president is Democratic, still the Supreme Court for many, many years to come will be conservative.
Okay, so now you said that Americans, well, chose like Trump, but here's the question then. Do you think they really voted for Trump, or maybe many of them voted against Democrat Party?
That's a very good question, because there's a big possibility that many, even leaning Democratic, independents leaning Democratic, they just didn't like the choice that they had. Because I suppose that there is big disappointment in the Democratic Party as a whole. The first part of this disappointment came when Joe Biden decided to run for the 2nd term. At first, he said that he wouldn't do it. But then, all of a sudden, he decided that he still wants to stay in power. So this was the first part of the disappointment. Then came the change of candidate from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris. At first, all the pundits said that Joe Biden can be president for 4 more years, and all of a sudden it appeared that he can't. He physically can't. This was the second disappointment. And then no primaries within the Democratic Party. The Democratic National Convention chose Kamala Harris by themselves. So what, they don't need primaries? That was the 3rd disappointment. So I guess we see that a lot of people, they either didn't go to vote or they went to vote for Donald Trump, not because they like Donald Trump so much, but because they don't like the Democrats, and they might like just one issue that Donald Trump stands for. So I believe that there are so many one-issue voters. They don't care about anything else. They care about just one thing.
Here's the question then. Do you think if Kamala Harris had more time to prepare for these elections, the outcome of these elections would be different?
That's a big question, because just before the debates, we saw polls from New York Times. The New York Times poll said that more than 30% of Americans didn't know enough about Kamala Harris. They replied that they want to know more about her. But what did we see during the debate? Of course, her performance was great, but it was too much according to the books.
Okay.
She was speaking as if she was in front of a TV camera and there's an advertisement that she has to promote right now. Donald Trump is sometimes
he's
bubbling.
A showman.
He's a showman.
But
and he knows how to work the crowd. And she was speaking as a professional politician that speaks according to the teleprompter, only according to the teleprompter. Okay. And if for example, I'm talking to you, I would not be looking at you. I'd be only looking at the teleprompter. So Americans probably didn't like that, and she didn't have enough time to talk to journalists one-on-one. And she didn't want to, for example, participate in Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan, the most famous American podcast author, his podcast with Donald Trump, in a week it was listened to for 40 million times only on YouTube. And we don't know how many million times on Spotify. And she didn't want to do podcasts with independent journalists. She only did interviews with...
That's always bad.
Yes.
That's always bad.
It was not enough of Kamala Harris as a person. So I think this was a big mistake.
Okay, so here's another question then. What factor in your mind predetermined Trump's victory? Could it be vice president? Could it be something else? Because I definitely know that vice president was he chose a strong vice president for him.
And it was a great choice. And it's a young, new generation Republican that is very well known as an author.
Which actually wasn't afraid to speak to any media, in fact.
And he spoke a lot, and he participated in many podcasts and interviews and all that. And he's known as an author, so he speaks so well in public. He wrote Hillbilly Eulogy, a very popular book that became a Netflix film. And so J.D. Vance is known as a powerful figure, not only as a politician, but also, I could say, as a showbiz figure. So it was a great choice, of course, for Donald Trump. But I think the main topic of Donald Trump in domestic politics of the U.S. was the immigration crisis, the immigration catastrophe of the United States. And J.D. Vance played a big part in showcasing this catastrophe because he was talking about it. And that meme that became so popular, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. It's a meme on the one hand, but on the other hand, this really put a finger on what is happening, that there are so many immigrants. And J.D. Vance himself, in an interview to Dana Bash, to CNN, he said that, yes, this wasn't true, we exaggerated, but we exaggerated only so that media would pay attention to it. So he made Donald Trump look so much better, and he played a big part in his victory.
Okay, what else then?
Immigration politics, economics, of course.
Okay.
Donald Trump has been a fighter for less taxation of Americans. And one of the reasons I think Americans chose him, because he promises tariffs on international trade, on goods that are coming outside of the United States, that are coming into the country from the outside. And at the same time, he promises less taxes in the United States. One of the reasons why people in Middle America support the Republican Party are student debt. Joe Biden has been promising to forgive student debt for millions of Americans. And he did that for millions or for hundreds of thousands of Americans. But this means that the money comes from taxes. So Middle America really does not support that decision. And so, of course, Donald Trump would never do that. And he would stop this practice at once. So probably this was one of the reasons, taxes. And of course, Americans felt way better and way secure during Trump presidency if we're talking about economics. There was less inflation, things were better. There was no war, things were way better inside the United States. And Americans, as we've said, they are voting. Sometimes it's just a one-issue voter.
Okay. Could you name any surprises during these elections campaign?
During the campaign, of course, we had 2 assassination attempts.
Okay.
We had changes of candidates in the Democratic Party. It's all very, very shocking. But I must say that it's an interesting issue of minorities, of minority vote, Black vote, Latino vote, also vote of people that Kamala Harris was hoping would come out to support her, people who have roots in the Baltic states and in Poland. So this was the issue. Minority vote was a big issue in this campaign, and probably it would play a bigger part in future campaigns.
Okay, now a very, very relevant topic. U.S. relations with Russia, China, Ukraine, you name it.
Donald Trump strongly believes in realpolitik, a realistic approach to international relations. If this is a president, we shouldn't try to help overthrow him. We should talk to him, whoever he is, Kim Jong-un, be it, or Putin, be it, or Lukashenko, be it. It doesn't matter. We should talk to him. So most probably, there can be a restart of negotiations on different topics between Moscow and Washington. And I suppose Moscow is expecting it, because just a month ago, on October 5th, they recalled the ambassador. The ambassador Antonov went back to Moscow, and he was a hawk of Russian foreign politics. And now there's no ambassador, no Russian ambassador in the United States.
Literally, they are now thinking about whom to send back to
the US, to the United States. And probably this will be someone through whom they will be building a new relationship with Trump. Now they need to find out whom Trump does, or Trump's team wants to see as an ambassador of Russia in Washington, and they will start talking. They will definitely start talking. Regarding China, regarding Xi, for Donald Trump, China is a big issue, because the trade war with China happened during Trump presidency. Probably he will get back to that. Tariffs on Chinese products, high tariffs. That's what Donald Trump is going to be doing. And the second thing, Asia Pacific is an extremely important region for Donald Trump. And he thinks that the United States need to leave Europeans aside and just let them be, leave Europe alone, and divert all attention to Asia Pacific. This is the main topic for Donald Trump, so most probably we will expect much more attention to the Asia Pacific in comparison to Europe.
And less attention to us.
Way less attention to Europe. And of course, regarding Ukraine, this is not the primary issue for Donald Trump. If he believes that he can gain something from that personally and as a president, maybe he wants to get a Nobel Peace Prize for stopping all wars in the world. He will try to push, and he can push really hard, and he can push in different ways. For example, as he once said, maybe he will give all the weapons Ukraine wants. So that would be a push for Moscow to sit down and talk. But what we've heard before from J.D. Vance, from already chosen next vice president of the United States, he explained what Donald Trump wants to see. He wants to see a demilitarized zone between Russia and Ukraine. And those territories that Russia gained might be frozen for years to come. So the only thing that's important, and I think that Ukraine will really pay attention to, is the language of agreements, how that territory is called, how it's formulated, what does it mean? So this would be very important to see what language will be used for those agreements. But on the other hand, if Donald Trump sees that he cannot gain anything from it, if he cannot gain the possible Nobel Peace Prize,
he will probably be more radical towards this question.
He will be way more radical.
Okay, so then my last question. So many voted for Trump, many voted for Kamala Harris, and there was also a big part of society that chose not to vote, which is a bit surprising to me, but okay, still. What's your take on this?
That's the disappointment in American politics in general. That's the disappointment in Washington in general. And this is a big problem for both parties, for the Democratic and for the Republican Party, even though the Republicans won. So I think that maybe now it's a question that a lot of political scientists have been discussing for a long time, third party or even four-party system in the United States. This seems impossible for now, but we see the polarization of the United States. We see how the right wing pushes the Republican Party to the right, the left wing to the left, and there's no one in the middle. So maybe now the Democratic Party at least will think about maybe dividing into two and having the central part of the Democratic Party. But that's I don't know if that's a possibility, but I think this is one of the things that pundits of the Democratic Party, political scientists of the Democratic Party might consider, at least consider. Before this election, it was difficult to talk about it. But now we see the crisis of American politics when people don't want to vote.
We are so unfortunate that we've got just so little time. as I'd love to speak to you more, and I've really got some more questions regarding elections in US, but still, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for your in-depth analysis.
Thank you so much.
And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest for today was an American studies expert, Alexandra Filippenko. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.